So for the protein bars, we start with half a cup of milk, half a cup of maple syrup, and about 3/4 of a cup of peanut butter. I use creamy peanut butter, not crunchy, but you could use either one. And I used to measure the half cup, and now or 3/4 cup peanut butter, sorry. And now I sort of eyeball it. And I don't use a measuring cup for that any longer. One of the worst parts about making these is mixing the peanut butter and milk and maple syrup, because it seems like it is never going to mix, that it's always going to be blobby like this, but you just have to keep stirring and cutting it in, and eventually it gets as mixed as it's going to. And I'm going to show you what that looks like, but it's going to take a couple minutes. And it's always disheartening. It never seems like it's going to come together, but in the end, you can get the peanut butter incorporated pretty well throughout the milk and maple syrup. It just seems like it's not going to work. Some people might try to heat this up to get it to melt together, and I have tried that, and it ends up melting the chocolate chips when I add them in later and makes a gooey mess. So I just do my best to stir all these three ingredients together, and eventually it starts coming together a little bit better. You can see, but I just keep stirring. I'm hoping you can see that. All right, so this, I would say, is mixed well enough to make the rest of the ingredients hold together. So we've got peanut butter, milk, and maple syrup. 3/4 of a cup peanut butter, half a cup of milk, half a cup of maple syrup. You can use honey instead of the maple syrup if you like. We prefer maple syrup. The next ingredient I add is a dash of vanilla. You can measure this. It would be approximately a tablespoon. Or you might not like that much vanilla, so just add in a teaspoon. Then I take rolled oats, old-fashioned rolled oats. We put in about 2 1/4 cups. I do measure this. I use rounded cups. I just dump the whole thing in. And then I don't change to the 1/4 cup measure. I just sort of approximate it. We have a cup of shredded coconut. I usually use unsweetened. Somebody bought sweetened coconut, so that's what's going in this one. And a cup of chocolate chips. I use the semi-sweet chocolate chips. We use a cup of cranberries. Actually, you should also try the cinnamon, and that is usually about a tablespoon. Right on the top there. And then the cranberries. These are dried cranberries, and I usually use about a cup of those. And then we use protein powder, unflavored. You can use flavored if you like. I don't want to add to the flavors that are already in here, so I just use the unflavored. And this, I do measure 1 cup into the ingredients. so this comes the second sort of difficult part, which is to take all of this and somehow make it mixed together into bar form. And it seems, again, like it's never going to happen. It seems like a Sisyphean task. You just keep mixing and mixing and mixing. And you think, no way, I'm going to have to add some liquid ingredients. This is not going to come together. There is no way that this is possible. And it is. You just keep moving the edges to the middle, pressing the middle out to the edges, and keep combining and combining. You're sort of folding the edges in and over and grabbing that middle and folding it out and over. And see, it is sort of looking more like a batter. It never becomes something you could pour, but it does start to hold together. And there's some dry corners and sections, and you've just got to keep mixing and mixing and mixing. It's not really stirring, it is grabbing the ends, folding it in, folding it in, folding it in, and digging down to that middle and folding it out. Not really folding, but you're pressing instead of stirring. If you were just stirring, it would be like this, and that's not going to work for me. Might work for you. Let me know. I don't know what this technique is actually called, if it's folding or not, but that's what I think of it as. There's that thing in Schitt's Creek about folding in ingredients, which is pretty funny. All right, this is where I would say it's ready to dump into a pan. You want to avoid these powdery bits there from the protein powder. Make sure you mix the peanut butter in. Whoops, that's going all over. And what I do is line a square pan like this with parchment paper. And I cut 2 strips of parchment paper. To overlap. One strip covers 2 sides, and the next strip covers the other 2 sides in a cross. All right, so now we take the bowl and put the bar mix right in that pan. All right. And try not to be as messy as me. Okay, so what we've got now is big lump in the pan, and we need to spread this out and press it down. And you can use the spatula to spread it out. You want it to hit all the sides and corners, and as you flatten it, it is going to spread out. You need to press down all the edges and the corners to get it to be a relatively uniform thickness. You're also pressing to get the ingredients to hold together. When you go to cut the bars, having this be pressed is going to make the bars hold their shape. So I'm pressing. This is still not really that uniform. If you do it with your hands, you are going to get peanut butter all over your hands and have a sticky mess, but you can do it like that as well. can. Alright, so that corner's not perfect, and there's a clump of coconut there, but I'm going to call that good. I would refrigerate this for an hour, and then I would lift the whole thing out using the paper and slice them into bars and package them individually. Thanks so much.